This is half past paper week 12 foundation tier, so all the even numbers this week. If you're looking for the odd numbers, that's in week 11 last week. As always, here are all the topics that we're going to go through today and the Sparks codes. If you do have Sparks at your school, then you can search for these codes and that will give you more questions for each of these topics. Okay, let's get into it. Question number 2. Write down a multiple of 8 that is between 41 and 60. So multiples of 8 are numbers in the 8 times table. So you could have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40 and so on. But we want to make sure that we're using one between 41 and 60. So 48, that would be a great option, or 56. Either of those are numbers in the 8 times table, multiples of 8 between 41 and 60. You can put either of them on the answer line. I'm just going to use 48, but 56 would have been fine as well. Question number 4. Here is a list of numbers. From the list, write down all the numbers that are powers of 3. So this means 3 to the power of something. So 3 to the power of 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 3 cubed means 3 times 3 times 3, that's 27. 3 to the power of 4, that means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that's actually 81. So that's gone a bit big. So powers of 3, in this case, 9 because it's 3 squared, and 27 because it's 3 cubed. Quite tricky for early on in the paper on that one, but hopefully that makes sense. Question number 6, work out 20% of 80. So if you ever want 10% of a number, to find 10%, we divide by 10. So imagine you've got the number 80 like this. If I want 10%, I'm dividing it by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each of those would be worth 8. So if I want 20%, I just want 2 of those sections. 10%, we divide by 10, so that's 8. And then if I want 20%, I want 2 of those, so that would be 16 as my answer. 2 of those sections would be 20%. Question number 8. Here is the gauge for the fuel tank of a car. The fuel tank holds 52 litres of fuel when the tank is full. So the whole tank means it's got 52 litres in it. The tank is a quarter full of fuel. How many more litres of fuel are needed to fill the tank? So this is split into 4 equal sections. If I do 52 divided by 4, now this was a calculator paper, but it could very easily not be, so let's try and do it without a calculator for this one. How many 4s go into 5? That fits in once, remainder 1. How many 4s go into 12? That's 3 times. So I know that this section has 13 litres in it. This section has 13. This section has 13 and this section has 13. So we've got 13 litres in it at the minute. We can see that this much petrol is in the tank, or this much fuel is in the tank. So the rest to fill it up would be these 3 sections. 13 times by 3. 3 times 3 is 9 and 3 times 1 is 3. Or you could do 13, add 13, add 13 if you wanted. And that is 39 litres to fill the tank. Question number 10. Bill has 400 counters in a bag. He gives 35 of the counters to Samina, 50 of the counters to Henry, 75 of the counters to Lucas. What fraction of the 400 counters is left in Bill's bag? Give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. So first let's work out how many he's given away. He's given away 35 and 50 and 75. Adding that together, 5 add 5 is 10, so 0 carry the 1. 3 add 5, add 7, add 1, that's 8, add 7, which is 15, add the 1 is 16. So he's given 160 of them away. He started with 400, so how many does he have left? Let's take that away. 0 take 0 is 0. 0 take away 6. Now if there's more on the floor, we need to borrow from next door. 10 take 6 is 4, and 3 take 1 is 2. So we've got 240 left, and we want that as a fraction out of 400. We've got to simplify that fraction. Now, the easiest way to simplify it is to put it in your calculator. You've got a calculator for this, so you could just type it in and it will simplify it for you. But let's look at how else we could do it. We could divide the top by 10 and divide the bottom by 10. We're looking for common factors that we can divide by, which gives us 24 over 40. Now, they're both even numbers in the 2 times table, so we could divide the top by 2 and divide the bottom by 2, and that would give us 12 over 20. And then you might be able to spot that they're also both in the 2 times table, or you could say, well, they're both in the 4 times table and divide by that. And that would leave us with 3 over 5. So 3/5 is what we are left with. He's given 2/5 away, so he's got 3/5 left in the bag. There we go. Question number 12. Ali, Ben and Kathy share an amount of money in the ratio 6 to 9 to 10. What fraction of the money does Ben get? So with ratio, you'll know I like to do my little lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts for Ali. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parts for Ben. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts for Kathy. And there would be the same amount of money on each of those lines. So however much money they're getting on one of those little lines is the same for everybody. That's how ratio works. So Ali is getting 6 parts, Ben is getting 9 parts, and Kathy is getting 10 parts. Altogether, the money is being split into 25 parts. 10 add 9 add 6 is 25. What fraction is Ben getting? Well, Ben is this middle section. He gets 9 parts out of the 25 parts that there are altogether. Question number 14. Find the value of 5.27 add 3.5 over 7.9 minus 4.36. Now this is just getting you to see if you can use your calculator. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could just work out the numerator and also work out the denominator and then just divide your two answers. Or you can use the fraction button in your calculator, which is what I'm going to do. So on your calculator, you should have a button that looks a little bit like this. If you press that first, then you can type 5.27 add 3.5 on the top. Then use the down arrows. So somewhere at the top of your calculator, you'll probably have a button like this. If you use that down arrow, you can then go to the bottom of the calculator and type 7.9 minus 4.36. Hitting equals. You may then need to press the SD button to get that answer as a decimal, and I get 2.47740112994350. And we've just got to write that down. That's it. Write down all the figures on your calculator display. So that's my answer. If you'd done it separately, that's absolutely fine, but you should still get the same answer for 2 marks. Question number 16. Here is a rectangle. The 6-sided shape below is made from 2 of these rectangles. Work out the perimeter of this 6-sided shape. So this is the same shape, this is the same way up, and this one's just been turned on its side. But we've got the same rectangle there in 2 different orientations. This is 6, this is 4, this is 4, this would be 6. But remember, with perimeter, we don't count any lengths on the inside of a shape. We just want to go around the outside. This one's on its side, so we've got 6 here, 4 here, and 6 here. And this would be 4. So hopefully it makes sense if I tell you that this bit here is 2. When we calculate the perimeter, we need to go all the way around the outside of the shape. If I was to walk around the edge or put a fence around it, that is the perimeter. So I need to add on 2 because that bit is on the outside, but these sides are not, so they should not be included, okay? So if I'm going all the way around, I've got 6, add 4, add 2, add 6, add 4, add 6, add 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, definitely got them all. And then you're just adding that together. So 6 and 4, that's 10. You could just type this in your calculator. I'm just going to group it to make it a little bit easier. That's another 10 there, and that's another 10 there. And I've got that extra 2. So 10 add 10 add 10, add the 2 is 32. That's your final answer for that one. Question number 18. The table shows information about the number of points scored by 30 students in a quiz. Find the modal number of points. So the frequency is nothing to do with the data. That's just how many people are getting each of these points. So 4 people got no points. 3 people got 1 point. 7 people got 2 points, 5 people got 3 points, 6 people got 4 points, and 5 people got 5 points, and so on. So the most common number of points, remember the mode is the most common, and modal just means the mode. The most common number of points is just where most of the people were. So 2 is our answer for this one, because it's got the highest frequency. 7 people got 2 points, and that's more than any of the other number of points. Work out the total number of points scored. So for this, we're going to multiply across. I know that 4 people got no points, which adds up to 0. 3 people got 1 point, which adds up to 3. 7 people got 2 points, which adds up to 14. 5 people got 3 points, which adds up to 15. 6 people got 4 points and 5 people got 5 points. So that is 24 and 25. Adding all of those values together, I'm going to use my calculator. 0, add 3, add 14, add 15, add 24, add 25 is 81. That would be the total number of points scored. If they ever asked you for the mean, you'd then have to divide that by how many people there are, which would be that column added up. But they just wanted the total number of points here, so 81. Question number 20. The diagram shows a square, ABDE, and an equilateral triangle, BCD. Work out the size of angle EBC. So they've coloured that in, or they've labelled that for you with that arc there like that. So E to B to C is the angle that is made when you go from E to B to C. I know that in a square, all of the corners are 90 degrees. And if we're going diagonally across, I know that this 90-degree angle here has been split in two. So this side is 45 degrees and this side is 45 degrees. So this bit is 45 degrees. In our triangle, if it's equilateral, that means all three sides are the same length, and also that all three angles are the same. Angles in a triangle add up to 180. If I do 180 divided by 3, I get 60 degrees. So this angle here would be 60, this angle would be 60, and this angle would be 60. Therefore, if I'm looking for this angle altogether, I need to do 45, add 60, and that gives me an answer of 105 degrees. Question number 22. In October, Sally drove 560 miles in her car. The car travelled 34.5 miles for each gallon of petrol used. Petrol costs £1.08 per litre. 1 gallon is 4.55 litres. Work out the cost of petrol the car used in October. So she drove 560 miles and the car travelled 34.5 miles for each gallon of petrol used. So let's take the 560 miles that she travelled and divide that by 34.5 so that we can find out how many gallons of petrol she used. 560 divided by 34.5 gives me an answer of 16.231880, and I don't want to round that, I'm just going to keep that in my calculator for the minute. Now petrol is £1.08 per litre, and we know that every gallon is 4.55 litres. This is the number of gallons, and I would quite like that to be in litres. So to go from gallons to litres, we are multiplying by 4.55. So let's keep that value in the calculator, times it by 4.55, and that gives me 73.85507.246 and so on litres. I now just need to times that by the cost per litre, which is £1.08. So let's times that by 1.08, and that gives me £79.76347. But of course, because it's money, we're just going to round it to 2 decimal places. The next number's a 3, which rounds down, so 79.76. That is the cost of driving in October. Question number 24. We have a universal set. So that funny squiggly E, that is called the universal set. And that's everything you know about right now. So your universal set, you can think of it like your universe. Your universe right now is the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You don't know any other numbers. And your universe, this box, needs to have all of those numbers in it. Okay, so they need to go somewhere in that box. Now we're told that set A is 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, and we're told that set B is 2, 6, 9. So are there any numbers in common? Yes, there are. There's 6 that is in both and 9 which is in both. I then just need to put the 2 from B on the outside, which makes that circle complete for B. And same with A, I've got a 1 left on the outside, a 5 left on the outside, and an 8 left on the outside. Now, a lot of students would stop there, but remember that universe needs to be complete. That squiggly E up there in the top corner means that all of the numbers in my universal set need to go somewhere in this box. So I've got 1, I've got 2, but 3, 4, 5 and 6 are there, and 7 need to go on the outside. Let's just double check we've got them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yes, I'm happy. I've got all of the numbers in my universal set somewhere in that rectangle. So we've completed the Venn diagram to represent the information. A number is chosen at random from the universal set. Find the probability that this number is in the set A intersection B. So there's two of these that you need to remember. Well, a couple more, but two that come up a lot. This is called the intersection, and it's talking about the bit where A and B overlap. So the numbers that are in A and also in B. If you're asked for this one, that's called the union. And the union means they can be in either of them. So we don't mind if it's in this bit or in the middle or in the other bit. So for A and B, A and B. So if you're asked this one, I like to think of it like the grabber machine at the arcade. It's very, very picky at the arcade, and it's only going to pick them up if it's in that middle bit. This one, you can think of it like a bucket. Just going to scoop all of those numbers in. That's how I remember it. I know it's a little bit silly, but it helps me to remember. So there we go. Find the probability of the numbers in the set A intersection B is the question here. We've got 9 numbers altogether. So if you put out of 9, that's going to get you a mark. You'd need a number on the top, but out of 9 is going to get you your first mark. And there are 2 of them in the intersection. We're just looking at this section here. What's the probability of picking a number from that section? It is 2 out of 9. Question number 3, the table shows information about the heights of 80 plants. Find the class interval that contains the median. So the median is the middle value. There are 80 plants here. So with 80, we would add 1 and divide by 2, which is 40.5. What that does when you add 1 to the number of pieces of data and divide by 2, it tells you the position of the middle piece of data. So 40.5 tells me that we are looking between the 40th and the 41st piece of data for the middle piece of data. Now our first 7 plants are in this category. We've not yet got to the middle. I've then got another 13. So up to here, that is 20 plants altogether. I've then got another 14. That takes us up to 34 plants in the first 3 sections. Now I've got another 12, and that's going to take us up to 46. So we now know that both the 40th and the 41st plant were in this category here. So the category that we're going to write down, the class interval is just another way of saying category. Because there are 12 plants in that category and that included the middle ones, we're going to say that 40 to 50 is our median class interval. So the class interval containing the median. The middle number is in that category. On the grid below, draw a frequency polygon. So a lot of you, if you've watched a lot of my stuff, will hear me talk about Polly the shark. So normally frequency polygons, they kind of make that shape. I always think they look a bit like a shark fin. And we remember that Polly the shark lives in the middle of the ocean. And that's going to hopefully help you to remember to do a graph that looks a little bit like this with straight lines. Don't ever join it up. It'd be a bit mean to chop off Polly's body. And never join it to the origin. She's in the middle of the ocean, so it's going to make like a little floating shark fin in the middle there. And also we go in the middle of the category. Just helps you to remember some little things that in the exam might be helpful. So here we go. We're going to go in the middle of the category. If the category is 10 to 20, we're plotting at 15. So 15 goes up to 7. Be really, really careful. That's 6. That's 7. That's 8. That's 9. A lot of students just go up 2 squares from 5 and think that that's going to get them to 7. It's actually 4 squares higher in this case. So we're going to go to 15 and up to 7, which would be there. Next point is going to be 25, because that's in the middle of that category, going up to 13. So that's going to be 11, 12, 13 there. Next one is 35 and up to 14, like that. 45 going up to 12 is there. And then I've got 55 going up to 16. Not the nicest squares, these, are they? 55 up to 16 and 65 up to 18. Now, I remember the year that my Year 11s came out of this exam because they said to me, Miss, Polly had 2 fins. It kind of goes down and comes back up. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to make a perfect shark fin shape, but it's just to help you remember that it isn't a bar chart and that we need to join them up with straight lines. So So there we go, something like that. I hope it just helps you remember. With a cumulative frequency, you plot at the top of the category, it's a smooth curve. So little tips and tricks to help you remember which graph is which. Never join it to the origin, okay? And never join them up like that to make a polygon. This is a frequency polygon just like this, okay? Question number 5. The diagram shows a hexagon. The hexagon has one line of symmetry. So we can see that there is a line of symmetry like that, which means it's symmetrical, means that both sides are the same. So I know that that angle is 117, for example. These two sides are the same, and these two sides are the same. Great. Angle BCD. So if you go from B to C to D, the angle you're making is here. So angle BCD is double angle CDE, which is this one here. So therefore I'm going to call this one X and I'm going to call this one 2X. So I also know that this one is 2X and I also know that this one is X. Work out the size of angle AFE, which is this one over here. Okay, so I know that this is a hexagon, and angles in a hexagon add up to 720. Angles in a triangle add up to 180. Angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360. Angles in a pentagon add up to 540. Every time you add another side, you add another 180 degrees. So those ones I just know. Hexagon, 720. If you ever aren't sure, remember there's a formula. It's the number of sides, take away 2, times by 180. So in this case, because it was a 6-sided shape, 6 take away 2 is 4, and 4 times 180 is 720. So I now know that all of these angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, must add together to equal 720. So I've got X, add 2X, add 2X, add another X, which altogether is 6X, because think these ones are 1X and 1X. So 6X, add, and then I've got 117, add another 117, which is 234. And we know that that needs to add up to 720. And I'm just going to solve this equation to work out what X is. So let's start by doing 720 take away 234. And that is 486. So I know that 6 lots of X needs to equal 486. Let's then divide that by 6. And that is 81 degrees. Therefore, this angle here is 81, and this angle here is 81, and the ones that are 2x are double that, so 162 degrees, and that's going to be the answer that they're looking for. We must show all our working, but there was no reasons that we needed to give there, so we're okay with just maths on that one. 162 degrees because we wanted 2x, so 81 times 2, and that was 162. And last but not least, question number 30. Solve the simultaneous equations. 3x minus 4y is 11, and 9x add 2y is 5. So always with these questions, it would be best to make the number in front of the y's the same. So whatever number you use, it needs to be in the 2 times table and the 4 times table. You could go to 8, but I'm just going to go to 4 to make this as simple as I can. So I'm going to keep that top equation the same. 3x minus 4y is 11. But with the bottom equation, because I want to make this number 4, I'm going to times everything on the bottom by 2. 18x add 4y equals 10. Now I'm going to turn this into a big sum, and the aim of the game is to cancel out these terms. So if they were both positive, I would subtract and that would cancel them out. But because we've got one negative and one positive, I'm going to add them together and that will cancel them out. So I'm going to do 3x add 18x, which is 21x, minus 4y add 4y, that becomes 0, that's cancelled out, and 11 add 10, that is 21. Now if 21x equals 21, dividing both sides by 21 tells me that x is 1. If you know that x is 1, let's put that back into either of the equations that we started with. It does not matter which one you pick. You could pick the top one or you could pick the bottom one. I'm just going to pick the top one because why not? So I'm going to write it out again. 3x minus 4y equals 11. But I now know that x is 1. So I can pop that where the x is. 3 times 1 is 3. So this is worth 3. 3 minus 4y is 11. Taking 3 away from both sides tells me that minus 4y is 8. And if we divide by minus 4, y would need to be minus 2. And that makes sense because minus 4 times minus 2 would give us positive 8. So your answer here is that x is 1 and y is minus 2. That topic is simultaneous equations, very much a grade 5 topic, one of the last questions that we would expect to see on the foundation paper. Quite tricky, so well done if you followed along, and add that to your revision list if you do find that challenging. That's the end of the paper, 41 marks this week. If you've got any questions at all, please let me know in the comments. It'd be great to hear from you, and I will see you next week for week 13.